I would like to say good day, good morning, good afternoon to you. Whatever time you're watching this video, I pray that everything is going well for you. And as a new member of the Wildcat family, I hope that things are falling into place, that you're excited about being here in Daytona Beach. This is our video number 3. It is called the Multi-Faith Glossary Terms video. At the end of this video, later on during this week, you're going to be given a test on these terms that we're going to go over today. So at the end of the week, you're going to take a test. It's going to be your assignment number 3. Some of you have done extremely well for assignment number 1 and number 2. So now get ready to pace yourself for assignment number 3. The multi-faith glossary terms. There are 21 terms that we're going to go over today. You have the list and the definition of these terms on the canvas. Look under resources or files or something like that, and you'll see something that says multi-faith glossary terms. It's going to say revise multi-faith glossary terms. The first word that we're going to discuss today, and we're going to go over these sort of briefly, just so that you can get a feel for the words. We're not going to go over the complete definition, but just enough to give you a general idea of what the word means. The first word is agnostic. Agnostic is a person that believes that it is impossible to know whether or not a God exists. Okay? Agnostic. A person who believes that it is impossible to know whether or not a God exists. That's the word agnostic. My uncle is agnostic. He doesn't believe in God. He said, well, you can't really know. A second term is atheist. Atheist is a person who does not believe in the existence of a God or gods. Okay, listen to this very closely. Atheist is a person who does not believe in the existence of a God or gods. Now you said, well, that sounds so close to an agnostic. Well, it is sort of close, but agnostic says it's impossible to know. The agnostic does not say a God does not exist. He said, well, you just can't know if a God exists or not. But an atheist says that is a person who believes who does not believe in the existence of a God or gods. Okay? So an agnostic believes that it's impossible to know whether or not a God exists. But the atheist believes that there is no God. Our atheist does not believe in the existence of God. Then our third word is theist. Theist, that's spelled Theist. It's a person who believes in the existence of God or gods. One who believes in the existence of one God, viewed as the creative source of humankind. Okay, so a theist is a person that believes in God and that God created humankind. Okay, these are religious terms that we're going to come in contact with through the course of this class this fall. Our next word is altar. All of you are very familiar with what an altar is a raised platform or stand which bears the central symbols of a religious tradition, whether it's in a temple, a church, or a home. And at an altar, prayers are made, offerings are made, and worship takes place. Altar. Assimilation. Assimilation refers to the process of making similar, a process by which people lose their national, culture, or even religious identity through absorption in a wider society. For example, in the history of American immigration, it has usually meant the absorption for both individuals and groups into a society largely shaped by a dominant Anglo-Saxon Protestant majority that is here in the United States. So assimilation refers to the process of making similar. It's a process of when people come into a country or a group, they are assimilated. That means they put aside their cultural values and they take on the values of the larger culture. For an example, you're going to be assimilated here at Bethune-Cookman in the culture of BCU. You are a freshman coming in, so some of the things that you used to do back in your hometown, you won't do them anymore. You're going to be assimilated. So assimilation, that's our vocabulary word. Then we have a new word called culture pluralism. Culture pluralism, well, in this sense, it was first popularized by a sociologist by the name of Horace Kalin to describe the interaction of diverse culture, ethnic, and religious groups in the United States. Listen to this part. Rather than being assimilated into a common wider society, cultural pluralism said that you can maintain your culture and you can still be part of the larger culture. Okay, so that's culture pluralism. Then the terminology that you're going to hear a lot of also is dialogue. Let's enter into dialogue. The term dialogue has come to common use among world religions today to refer to interfaith or interreligious dialogue among Jews, Christians, Buddhists, Native American people. For people of different religious traditions involved in dialogue, this new form of relationship allows each party that's involved to hear what the other person is saying. This is dialogue. We take and exchange ideas. Our next term is ecumenical. Ecumenical. Ecumenical means worldwide. The term is most commonly used to refer to the Christian economical, ecumenical movement, which took place in the 20th century, which brought together different denominations of Christian churches, and so that we could work together. Now today, they use that term to mean not just bringing Christians from the Christian faith, but ecumenical means bringing people from all different religious backgrounds together. So a lot of times you might hear this term used to say it was an ecumenical services, which means that we had people from different denominations, different faiths, different religions, and they all came together. Okay, that's good. You're learning and becoming familiar with a lot of nice terms that will be very helpful. Our next term that we want to share with you is called enlightenment. Enlightenment means awakening to or realizing the true nature of reality. Okay, let's listen to this again. Enlightenment means awakening to or realizing the true nature of reality. Okay, enlightenment. That term also refers to the 19th and 18th century when European philosophical and religious movements emphasized the role of reason in religious thinking, the importance of religious toleration, and the need to separate religious dogma from political power. Okay, so enlightenment, it means awakening on to or realizing the true nature of reality. Enlightenment. Meditation. Now, I know all of you know how to meditate, but meditation is a discipline. It is a disciplined practice of quieting and focus your mind or cultivating the heart's attention. Different meditation practices commend focusing attention on a word, a prayer, a form, or the breath as a way of practice. Meditation is very common in Buddhism, Hinduism, and also for Christians in the Jewish faith, you'll find that they too meditate. So I just want to emphasize to you that meditation is a disciplined practice of quieting and focusing the mind or cultivating the heart's attention. And different types of meditation practices focus on a word, a prayer, a form, or your breath as a way to practice. Okay, let's go to the word melting pot. And you've heard that many times. The image of the melting pot, everything is coming together and is blending. This term is used to describe the process through which the various ethnic, culture, and religious groups that have come to the United States have mutually transformed one another, thereby creating one American people. I love that. This is the melting pot. The image of the melting pot has been used to describe the process through which the various ethnic, culture, and religious groups that have come to the United States have mutually transformed one another, thereby creating one American people. So you all are Americans. New Age, yes. The New Age refers, that's our next term. The New Age refers to a wide variety of late 20th century religious movements. Many of these movements are based on a holistic cosmology, which does not see the world as a scene of dualistic conflict between good and evil, sin and salvation, but rather sees the cosmos as a harmonious whole, which needs to be brought once again into balance. So they don't say that there's evil. The New Age movement, this is evil, this is sinful and salvation. It says that everything has to be brought into balance. Once we bring things into balance, it will be harmony. It will be harmonious. So, seeing them as internally, everything is internally related, they emphasize forms of diet, exercise, meditation, and healing that seeks to restore balance. The New Age movement. They don't focus so much on God's that's a sin nature, or we have to change something. We just need to bring ourselves into balance. Okay, another term is orthodox. And you hear this word meaning, and orthodox means having a correct opinion or outlook, and is used a term used by many people in many religions who claim authority for traditional views and forms of their religion. You will hear this term used a lot with Jews, that they are Orthodox Jews. So they dress a certain way. They have their Sabbath a certain way. There are certain dietary restrictions that they follow. Orthodox. And so it means, generally speaking, a person who's Orthodox is conservative. They have a conservative view. Sometimes you might say he's very Orthodox, that they're not open to new ideas. They're very conservative and they want to do things, they like to stick with tradition. So that's an Orthodox person. Orthodox. The next word we're going to look at is pluralism. We looked at it earlier on the culture pluralism, but the term has many meanings. But in our context, it means the recognition and engagement of culture and religious diversity in the context of creating a common society. So pluralism in the context for this class means the recognition and engagement of culture and religious diversity in the context of creating a common society. Rather than excluding differences or erasing differences, pluralism seeks to engage differences in the project of society building. So I love pluralism because it doesn't seek to change anyone. It intends to embrace whatever it is your culture is, your religious belief. We're going to embrace you. We're not going to try to change you. Consider now, the melting pot will change you. It will help you to get rid of your old culture habits and take on the new one. But pluralism embraces the differences and doesn't try to make an individual change. Prayer. Prayer is a vocal or silent address to the divine. It may consist of fixed words, spontaneous words, or rest and silence with no words at all. Some forms of prayer are accompanied with specific postures or gestures, while others are not. So prayer is a vocal or silent address to the divine. Prayer. And I think most of you are familiar with some form of prayer. The next term is priest. A priest is the leader of a religious community or congregation, especially trained and ordained to provide service, who leads the members of the community in the rituals and practices of shared and individual life. Many traditions have forms of priesthood, and so you look into the definitions that I have given you. There's expanded information for different faiths or religions, or the role of their priests. So when we begin to look at the different religions, we'll see what the duties are for the priests in that particular religion. Our next word is temple. A temple is a house of worship, a sacred space housing the deity or central symbols of the tradition. The temple in Jerusalem was the holy place of the Jewish people until its destruction by the Romans in 70 CE. Now the term temple is used by Reformed Jewish people to refer to their place of worship. And then in the Hindu tradition, temples are laid out according to precise mathematical dimensions and proportions, and erected to be the symbolic dwelling or body of the divine on earth. So to the Hindu, that it is very important. It is a place where the divine rests or lives on earth. Okay. And when we get into the different religions again here, too, we're going to be talking about the different temples, and we're going to see some of those, and we're going to talk in more detail about that. But I'm just introducing some terminology. Prophet. I'm quite sure many of you have heard of the term and familiar with it. A prophet is one who communicates a divine message or vision, sometimes calling people to repentance or awakening, sometimes predicting future events. And especially among the Jewish, Christians, and Muslims, they are really committed to this concept of a prophet. As a matter of fact, the Muslims called their leader Prophet Muhammad. But many other religions, we had many prophets, and you know that in the Christian faith, there were many prophets also. Okay, Revelation. Revelation is the gift or disclosure of knowledge, insight, or instruction from God to the human. Revelation is the gift or disclosure of knowledge, insight, or instruction from God to humans. Okay? In some usage, the term indicates that true knowledge is bestowed by the agency of the divine, rather than discovered within the depths of oneself, as a Buddhist or Hindu view might hold. See, a Buddhist or Hindu believe that this divine knowledge or revelation will come from within the person. But other faiths, like Christian or Judaism, believe that it comes from a divine source. It comes from God to us. So we're going to have a great time when we're talking about revelation, when we get to these other denominations, these other religions. Saints are human beings whose lives have displayed extraordinary holiness and devotion. Simple and straightforward. Saints are human beings whose lives have displayed extraordinary holiness and devotion, as they become examples for others. And so in some of our faiths, you'll hear people being addressed by saint, that terminology. And saints are being honored and recognized. So that's going to be important. Our last term that we're going to go over is the term soul. The soul is the inner spirit, the life essence of a person, regarded in many religious traditions as divine. The soul is the inner spirit, the life essence of a person, regarded in many religious traditions as divine. In the Jewish, Christian, and Muslim traditions, the soul is of God, created by God, and capable of relationship with God, but not identical with the divine reality. So the soul, my friends, is the inner spirit, the life essence of a person. Is the inner spirit, the life essence of a person. I ask that you would meditate on that. The spirit is the inner spirit. The soul is the inner spirit, the life essence of a person. It is who that person is, the life essence. Is it well with your soul today? Now this is the end of my lecture on these terminologies. I have given you fuller definitions on your resource file that I sent to you with these terms on it. So what you're going to do, you're going to study these because you're going to have a test on it. I think it is on Friday, later this week. You'll see it under your assignments. And so these are the multi-faith glossary terms that you're going to be responsible for. On next week, the beginning of the next week, we will start our study on Buddhism. And I want you to know that I had an opportunity to go to a Buddhist temple. I'll tell you about it later. So we'll talk about it next week. But this week, I want you to focus on this terminology. Put these on little note cards or whatever you might need to find a friend or buddy to help you to go over these terms. And you can add more to it. I mean, on your list that you receive, there are fuller definitions, but I just want to give you a cursory review. And I expect you to know at least what I have shared with you today. And if you're able to add more depth to it, wonderful. So have a blessed day. Thank you.